Hey everybody, it's your boy Big James, and I'm back with another review of Married at First Sight, Season 12 in Atlanta. The title of this episode is Nice to Marry You. This episode caused a lot of feelings to come up inside of me. I want to get to Chris and Paige because they had their ceremony, but Chris and Paige, I'm going to do them last. I'm going to go couple by couple, and I'm going to get to them last. Let's start out with our first couple. It's going to be Jacob and Haley. They got married this episode. Jacob, he says he's not nervous, but he clearly is. He's also kind of dull, kind of boring. Nothing really wrong with that. I think he's a good dude, but I think he's kind of nerdy and he owns it, which is what I do. I like it. It's fine. It's fun. But I think the thing I don't like about him is that his primary reason for doing this is because he wants to get married before he's 40. And that's pretty much it. He just wants to do that. He doesn't really have any other reason. He's not looking for love. He's not looking for a partner or anything. He's just like, I don't want to be 40 and not married because all his friends are married. He called himself a weird nerd. And he talks about his dog. He's like, if she got a problem with dogs, it's over. It's like, it's not going to work at all if she don't like it. She's not a dog person. And for some reason, he said he hopes she has a big nose. He likes big noses, and he wants her to have a big nose. That's new to me. That's weird. I've heard women say that about guys. I never heard a guy say that about a woman, that he likes big noses. That was new. And he says that he can tell if it's going to work or not based on the smile when they first see each other, whether they smile or not. And I think when she comes down the aisle, she has this big, beautiful smile. And he has like a little smirk. Like it's not really a smile, a big shit-eating grin. It's just like a smirk. I guess he says he's very attracted to her. He really likes her. He says that later on. They're reading the notes from the families, and hers is pretty standard. She's very adventurous. She's bossy. She likes to do things her way. She's not used to living with anybody. And his is weird because it's like, he has a weird house, which he never really does. He tries to, the whole episode, he tries to explain what he means. He's like, I have a weird house. Everybody's like, what does that mean? He's like, oh, no, a lot of slants and, stuff. He's like, it's just retro and all this stuff. And everybody's like, huh? But, they say he's big on retro, the 80s. He got his house done 80s. I don't know what the fuck his house looks like, but he likes it, but he's unsure if anybody else would like how he has it set up or how it looks. Because it was like a big concern, a talking point through the whole episode, through the whole wedding. He was trying to, he's telling people, oh, I have a weird house. And he would try to explain his weird house. And everybody was like, huh? Like, what do you mean weird? Is it like some kind of sex dungeon or some shit? And he's like, no. I got a lot of angles and there's like retro stuff and it's, there's a beach in the backyard, and it's like a full gym, It's weird, and everybody's just like, all right, man, your weird house. He's saying his vows and he loses his place. His Jacob and Haley were just cringe. It was like I was vicariously embarrassed the whole wedding. Like whenever it was on them, I was like, oh God. Oh, cause I was embarrassed for him. I didn't even want to watch. Like I was looking away because it was so awkward. And he lost his place in his vows, and he like lost his place for like 2 minutes. It wasn't like, oh, I'm right here. He was like, I don't know what. I know nerves played a big role in it, but oh my God, it was just bad. And then after the wedding, they're talking, and it's just dull. Like he hasn't done a lot of stuff. I think he's done more than he's given himself credit for. I think he's more adventurous than he gives himself credit for. But she's like, she travels. He's like, I've never traveled. I think he went to San Juan, was the furthest he ever went, which is Puerto Rico. So he don't need a passport. He just got a passport. And he's been around the United States a lot, but he never went overseas. And she's traveled overseas a lot, into a lot of different countries. But I think he's downplaying himself, and I think she's big up in herself. I think they're gonna meet in the middle somewhere. Uh, and the thing was, the producers asked her what about Jacob does she like in her confessional. She doesn't like anything about him, but she says like I don't know him, I don't know anything about him. But she said, but she didn't like how he looked. She didn't like his voice. She didn't like because you asked the other ladies, they like something right away. She was like, I don't like anything right away. And she didn't want to kiss. They kept asking him to kiss. She said no. He said no too, though. He was like, that's for later. She doesn't want to kiss in front of family. And he's like, I want to get to know her better before we do anything like that. So it was kind of, he was more subtle with it, and she was more outspoken about no kissing. No, there will be no kissing. Nope, 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 nope. And he was like, he was reserved when he was saying, he was like, yeah, no. Like, she was like, there's no way in hell. He was like, there's a way in hell. But I just don't want to. And, they were taking photos, and she was like, she really didn't want to be up close on him. But she kept saying that it was because of the family there, but I think she really just didn't like that dude. She just really didn't want to be up on him like that. Oh, well. And, he starts opening up more. He gets more comfortable, more relaxed, and he goes and he talks to the bridesmaid. He's like, okay, so he wants to know, y'all give me all your questions and stuff. And they're all just standard stuff. Like, she's adventurous, she's in charge, she's not used to being in relationships. If she doesn't like somebody, she's quick to dump somebody. She's quick to just move on. And hopefully, this time she'll take it slow and easy and really get to know someone. And he was like, yeah, I wrote something down, but I can't remember what it is. Him and his weird ass house. He kept talking about his house. I don't know why he kept talking about his house so much. Because she was like, she was talking about traveling, and he was just like, no, what did he say? He said he got a pool in his backyard. She was like, oh. He was like, I got a jacuzzi in my backyard. He was like, oh. And then he was like, I got a gym in my house. She was like, oh. He was like, I got a beach in my yard. She was like, a beach? He kept saying, yeah. He said, and I got a sauna. She was like, what the fuck? He was like, yeah. He's like, I know it sounds like a bachelor pad, but that's not what it is. He said, it's just, I do stuff at my house. So he doesn't go out a lot. He doesn't go and do it. So he just turns whatever he wants to go do. He just builds it at his house. So shit. And she was saying like, she just got a house a year ago. She said her brother lived with her for about 8 months, and that was the only person she ever had staying with her. She's the only person she ever stayed with her like in years. And he was like, well, it's just me and a dog. But me and the dogs for like a fucking decade. He was like, it's just him and the dogs in this weird ass house he didn't made for himself. I have to see this house. And he's talking to her friends, and they're talking to the family and stuff. And they seem like, and I like Jacob. He seems like a cool dude. He doesn't really seem like, he seems like, he said he's just a weird nerd. And I was like, oh, that's just something he's saying. But he seems like, he doesn't seem very nerdy. He seems really weird. Because she was talking to his friends, and they were like, yeah, he's really kind of weird and nerdy. And it's like, what do you mean by that? Because they're just saying, but they're not expanding on it. Like, what do you mean by that? And they were like, his house is weird. His friends were like, his house is fucking weird. And they say, he's big into computers. Because that's his job, too. He, like, does, an IT guy. He does computer stuff. And so, he like retro stuff. He has a lot of retro designs, retro clothes. And he's big on the 80s. He's big in the 80s fashion, 80s music, 80s stuff like that. And then, like, he's just a geek. He plays a lot of video games and reads a lot of books and stuff like that. And she's more adventurous. Like, I don't think she's doing a lot of stuff like that. I think she's more outdoorsy, and he's more indoorsy. But he says he wants to do more outdoor stuff. So, hey, could be a future there. But that was pretty much it with them. Let's go on. Who our next couple is? Clara and Ryan. They weren't even in the fucking episode. They didn't talk about them at all. They did nothing. I think the only thing they did was they showed her friends talking to him about them being intimate, because they said Clara is very physical. She likes to touch and feel and hold. And he was like, he wasn't really feeling that. He was like, I've talked to her. I don't want to talk to y'all about that. They were like, okay. But that was pretty much it. Them and then when they went to, after the wedding, they went back to the hotel room, which I think they didn't do shit, except went to sleep. There was really not a lot. Well, the couples that got married, the previous episode 2, they only like showed glimpses of them. It was mostly Chris and Paige. Like 80% of the episode was Chris and Paige. And you had Brianna and Vincent. He talked to her dad and said that, I want to take care of her. I want to be there for her. I want to support her and all this stuff like here. All the standard what I'm going to do shit. And her dad was like, hey, whatever, man. You got any questions, call me. He's like, I just want you to protect her, take care of her, and just, treat her right. Standard dad shit. And Brianna's friend came over and talked to her, and Brianna said she was very relieved. And she was very happy with who they picked for her to be her husband. And her friend was like, yeah, when she saw him coming down the aisle, she was like, okay, he's handsome, check. Bald head, check. Beard, check. Those were all things Brianna was like, I need. And she was like, you got him. And Brianna said something that was very interesting to me. She said she feels like he can take care of her. And her friend was like, wow. Because she's like, you've never said that before about a guy. Because Brianna's used to taking care of herself and she doesn't expect somebody else to do it. But she was like, no, I think he can take care of me. Which is what she wants. And she said she just finds him very comforting. She really likes him. Not just physically, but she likes him as a person, his attitude, his demeanor, everything. She really likes it. Because she says it's comfort, which is one thing I think I said before. They're very like-minded and into the same stuff, but she's very high-strung and he's very low-strung. And I think that they can actually that can actually work because they're doing the same thing just in different ways. And she said she might take his last name, which her friend was like shocked too. Like, you're not gonna hyphen? She was like, I might take his name later or early. She was like early. She's like, she's ready to be him now to have a little Miles Morales. That's what she said. She even to have a little Miles Morales baby. No, Black Spider-Man. People who don't know, he's black and Hispanic. And her friends asked him what he feel like being intimate with her on the wedding night, and he was like, no. He said he wants to. He said he's not interested in that at all. He said he really wants to get to know her before doing anything physical because he doesn't know her and he doesn't really want to do anything with a stranger, which is admirable. That's very admirable. And yeah, it was just like, I like Vincent and I like Brianna. I really do. I've seen no red flags from either one of them at all. We go to Virginia and Eric. Virginia's talking to Eric's friends, and she says that, she's just this wild, crazy person. She's always doing things. She said she's late. She's late all the time. She's late for everything. She was late for the wedding there. And they was like, she was like, so if that's a big deal, you probably should tell him, like, hey, she runs late a lot. They were like, well, he's a pilot, so he's not into the being late thing. He has to be on time, and he's big on scheduling and doing stuff on time. And then this is the weirdest couple, because she was like, oh, everything she said she does, he doesn't do. So they were like, what do you do for fun? She was like, oh, I go clubbing, I hit the bar. She said, I go to concerts. She said, anything you can go do, that's what I go do. And they were like, he don't do any of that shit. They said, anything you can stay in and do, he'll do. So he was get a glass of wine, put on a comedy movie from the 80s or whatever, and he would sit in the house and he would watch that. That's his fun time. But as far as leaving the house to go do shit, no, he don't do that. And she's like, oh, cool. And she's just drinking like, oh, okay. I don't know what she's going to do, because basically their lifestyles, personalities, behaviors, everything is just opposite. They don't do anything alike. And she went to talk to he went to talk to her parents, and he told her parents, like, I think she's beautiful. He said, I really think she's attractive. She draws everybody in. And he said, saying stuff like, I'm going to take care of her. I'm going to treat her well. And they said, well, she's a beautiful person inside and out. She really You know, she really wants to be loved. She believes in love, and she's been searching for it. And it's it's all beautiful. But he said, he's a very traditional person, and they're like, she's not. She doesn't do anything traditionally. But he's like, oh, I do everything traditionally. She don't do shit traditionally. So he was like, I would have preferred to, get to know you guys before today. I would have asked for both of your hands, both of you permission before. He said he would have did everything the classic way you're supposed to do. And they were like, oh well, we're here now. And his friend was talking about her like, hey man, she seems like she's very physical. And then they cut to her and she's like, yeah, I'm real handsy. I like to touch, I like to hold, I like to squeeze and stuff. And he was just Eric was just like, yeah, she really is. And he likes it. He likes the fact that she is open, and because he's not used to that, because he's so conservative. He was like, oh, I just wanted to do a little peck, but she pulled me in for like just for the kiss the bride part. He was like, but he's like, and she has the entire time. She's been all on him. She's been touching him, grabbing him, squeezing him, putting him on her. She was like, and he's been loving her, man. He was like, oh, I love that. He's like, I love that she's so physical, and he ain't, but he likes that. So they were asking about, what tonight. He's like, I don't know. He's like, personally, I'm thinking no, but based on how she's been acting, we might actually have sex tonight because that's how she is, and she's been drinking a lot too, so that might have play a role in it. But that's about it. I think at the end they were kissing and stuff in the bed after the wedding, but I don't know if it went past that or not. We'll find out probably next week. And now here comes the fucking shit show. Chris and Paige. That's Chris and goddamn Paige. Motherfucking Chris. When Paige comes down the aisle, Chris says, oh shit. I knew right then this was going to be weird. And she comes down the aisle and he's smiling, because Paige looks very good. Paige is very beautiful. And they say the vows, and the vows are weird, And because they have the letters from the family first, and she's like a track star and all this other shit and all this other stuff. And he's just like, it's just all bullshit. It really is. But his friends wrote the letter that he wants a honeymoon baby. His whole side of the wedding was fucked up. Not just him, his whole side, from him all the way back to grandmama and them, was just wrong. They were just fucked up. And then he recites his vows, and his vows are about, he wrote his vows about what it was like to write vows. I'm going to say that again. His vows to his wife at his marriage were about what it was like writing vows. I was like, are you serious? I was like, what? And then somewhere around the end, he got to making vows to her, like, I'm going to take care of you. I vow to treat you right. I vow to love you. I vow to be there for you. I vow to support you. But it started out with the pen, the paper, what it was like writing to someone he didn't know. It was just like a bunch of, the first half of his vows, the first 90% of his vows was him basically talking about how great a guy he is to himself. And he read it off on the paper. And it seemed like she didn't really like that. I think she said later on she didn't like that he was just sitting here reading this 10-page letter to himself. And then when she did her, and then they said, you can kiss the bride, he didn't want to kiss her. And I thought that was weird that he didn't want to kiss her. And we find out later, I'll get to it, why he didn't want to kiss her. And he asked her, like, well, can I kiss you? And she's like, yeah, you kiss me. He was like, you want me to kiss you on the cheek? She was like, no, you can just kiss me. He was like, you sure? Like, yeah, just kiss me. And then he gave her a kiss on his lips. And I was like, what was that? What was that? I was like, oh my God. Because I was like, I had my fears, which were confirmed later. But I was just, oh my God, no. Please, no. And she talks about the infinity. I think he put an infinity on a letter he wrote to her, and she said, I have that tattoo on my body. She has the infinity tattoo. And they were like, well, that's weird. She was like, yeah, we connect. Cause she was going on this whole God put us together shit. And she asked him, do you have any tattoos? He was like, yeah, he has a cross. He has a tattoo of a cross with a crown on it. And it was like, yeah. She was like, that's a new tattoo. That she was like, you just got that. He was like, yeah, I just got that. And she was like, oh. He was like, well, I'm gonna be honest with you. It was a tattoo of my ex's name. And before I got married, I went to get it covered up with the cross and crown. King Jesus. And she was like, okay. She said, when were you? She said, we were engaged. When you engaged? She was like, oh, we were engaged about a few months ago. We broke it off. And then she was like, you was just engaged a few months ago and now you married a stranger? And he was like, yeah, it's wild. She was like, yeah, that's wild. And she was talking about her dog. She was like, yeah, I have a dog. Well, I think she said it was like a Yorkie. And she was like, is that a problem? He was like, no, my ex had, the same dog. And she was like, wow, you're talking about your ex again? Why would you say, yeah, my ex had... I would have said, yeah, a friend of mine got a dog like that. It would have been something. I wouldn't... He talked about his ex for several minutes. And Paige was just like, please stop talking to me about your ex that you were just engaged to a few months ago. And he asked her, what do you do? And she said she's an accountant. And he's like, what? Whoa, that's crazy. And he was like, yeah. She was like, well, what do you do? He was like, well, he owns, he's a franchise owner of a Subway. He doesn't say that, but it's like on the internet now. It's a Subway that he owns. Well, I guess it closed out. Now he doesn't even own that no fucking more. And he said he's closing on a house. He's on his first house. He's going to start flipping houses. And she was like, oh. She's like, well, I own a home and I rent it. She said, because he's like, yeah. She's like, yeah, I rent it out. She said, well, I'm a realtor too. I sell houses too. And he was like, yo, and he was like floored because you could see on his face, despite what he was saying, even though what he was saying was kind of weird too, was that he didn't like that. He didn't like that she was an accountant. He didn't like that she was a realtor. He didn't like that she did stuff that was made money. Because just by talking to them, she makes more money than him. And she had more respectable jobs than he does. So, because he seems like he's a fucking bum. A damn scam artist. And they go from that to where, it just gets, because Chris' daddy is there. And Chris' daddy is a reverend. He's a pastor. Chris' daddy is a nasty, dirty old man because he first starts talking about Paige, because Paige got a big ass, man. She's like, Paige has a body. She has a real nice body. She has a body of like an athlete. Like she says, they run track. She's just toned, firm. She has an incredible body, and that's all her dad talks about. It's like, man, she got that big old thing, like that, them big legs. But ooh, and this is the pastor. This is the reverend here. Talking to him about, man, you got a good one now, boy. Ooh, I seen her. You gonna do some things with that? Just nasty as fuck. And Paige has concerns. She feels like she's like, okay, he has all the things that I said I want on paper, but I have concerns. Because, the things he says, the things he do, his attitude, and just the way he talks is kind of an issue for her. And it should be, because he talks like an ogre. He talks bad. And they're trying to take pictures with everybody, like the wedding pictures of the wedding party and everything. And Chris just looks unhappy. And he just looks unhappy. And he doesn't look at her. Because she started to her bridesmaids, like, he doesn't look at me. He didn't look at her when they were doing the vows. He saw her when she came down the aisle, but he didn't look at her when they were doing the vows. He didn't look at her for the pictures. They had the photographer had like, can you look at your bride? And she was like, why won't he look at me? She said, I hope his nerves, I'm hoping it's just, jitters or whatever, and he gets past it. But it's concerning her. It's a problem for her that he does not look at her. We find out why later. And he just looks unhappy. He looks like he doesn't like doing this. Just on his face, and he's like he's kind of pouting but not pouting. And then they sit down to eat, and he just asks her just nasty, fucked up, inappropriate question. He asks her like, is she a virgin? She on contraceptives. He tells her about, oh, he normally, he used to masturbate in order to eat, but he hasn't masturbated all this week. He been saving it up for her and all that. And she is just like, what? And it's just nasty. He talks to her so bad. He asks her, does she wear makeup? And she's like, yeah. He said, well, are you like a girly or are you a tomboy? And she's like, I'm kind of in between the two. She's like, I do a little bit of everything. He's like, I just want to know, do you dress up? She was like, yeah, I dress up sometimes, not all the time. She's like, what's going on here? He's like, well, I'm just trying to figure you out and learn. And she was like, these are some weird questions for trying to learn me. And he was like, this is how I am. She said, you gotta take me as I am. This is me. Which is right for her. She just said, hey man, this is me. Take me as I am. She said, this is just how I am. This is just what I do. And he just got like, okay, that's cool, yeah, She was like, what does that mean? He was just like, he don't like her at all. And then she goes and talks to the parents. She talks to the mom and dad. Dad is just nasty. Like his dad is a fucking creep. Because he keeps talking about sex. Even when he gave a toast, he was like, I'm Chris. I got Chris Jr. I'm on Chris the Third. My son wants a lot of kids. You got to get him them. Like, every time his daddy talked to her or about her, it was something sexual. It was always about sex. Whenever Chris' friends talked about her, it was always about her body or about him having sex with her. And I'm looking at him like, that's your fucking wife. They talking about your wife, man. You sitting here cheating while your friends talking about fucking your wife. Your dad is talking about your wife ass. And you sitting here going along with it. You should be pissed the fuck off. That told me right then he don't respect her at all. He don't like her. He don't give a fuck about her. He's sitting up letting people talk shit about his wife, and he joining in with it. You can't find any man that will let other people sit up and talk about how much they want to hook up with his wife, how nice her ass look, man, she's so fine, man, we should do this, that. Like, no other dude is nobody gonna let that fly. He lets that fly because he don't give a fuck about her at all. He don't give a fuck. I had to get that off my chest because I saw when I saw him letting that happen, I knew he don't fucking like her at all. And then when he talks to her friends, he says like, yeah, I'm not 100% attracted to Paige. She ain't really what I'm used to. She's not unattractive, but she's not really what I like. He likes her body, and that's it. He don't like how she looks. He don't like her skin color because she's dark. He don't like her skin color. He don't like her hair because it ain't fucking silky laid down her ass. He don't like the fact that she works. He don't like how smart she is. He don't like any of that. All he likes is her body. And then he's talking to her bridesmaids, and he's telling them, she's the woman I need, not the woman I want. What the fuck? So if you don't want a man, just be done. He's sitting there saying, oh, she might be what I need, but she ain't what I want. If you don't want her, leave her the fuck alone. You can go get this shit annulled right now. And he's talking to her friends. He was like, I want a trophy wife. That's what I was looking for. And they were like, she is a trophy wife. She's beautiful. She's beautiful and smart and can help and can contribute. That ain't what he wants. He wants you to be dumb, stand there and look pretty, and get him sex on demand. That's all he wants. He wants one of these Instagram chicks with a big ass and fucking fake titties and long hair that take pictures on their goddamn drawers all day. And Paige ain't that. That's what he means by what he's saying. She's different from every woman I ever been with. She's different than what I'm used to. She not stupid. She's not light skinned. She's not finna do this bullshit. She's not finna wear makeup and dresses and skin tight ass dresses and skirts and thongs all fucking day and just cook and be naked when you get home. Cause that was her dad. His daddy said, my son, like, when he gets off work to come home and you to get him some to help him relax and have sex. Cause his daddy was fucking gross. And her bridesmaids ain't shit. He told them all this terrible shit. And they never said a word. They didn't say a mumbling ass word to her about it. If they did, they didn't show it. Because she had concerns. She was like, I don't know about this. What y'all think? And they heard what he said, and they was like, this dude kind of fucked up. But they didn't tell her that. They didn't mention it to her. They just said, well, it's stuff, but it might be just nerves. It could be this. It could be that. It could be he ain't shit. I don't like Chris. I think Chris, I said it before, Chris is the worst kind of Christian. Because throughout this whole thing, he is just, talking about what God has done, what the Lord is, the blessings and all this. He is the worst kind of Christian. He uses religion like it's a fucking weapon to just beat people up with it and force them to give him what he wants. He ain't got no God in him. Nowhere. Him or his trifling ass daddy. Ain't no God in them. They don't pray. They don't believe in Lord. They don't read the Bible. They don't know none of that shit. They see religion as a tool to get what they want in the world. And that's how they use it. He was talking about sleeping with her like she had no say-so in it. And he doesn't believe it's up to her. He was like, if I want to have sex with her, I'm going to. She has no say-so in it. That's why he's so comfortable talking to her about it. Because he's like, I don't care what you think. It's up to me. This is what I want to do. Fuck your feelings. Because the Lord said so. I hate Chris. He give black men a bad name. His whole group, his friends, family, all of them. The only ones he has some sense was his mama, who told Paige, don't have no babies, don't do nothing, just go slow, take it easy, and learn each other. But Paige so goddamn delusional. I think she believes that this is some shit, my God. Like, her instinct, her gut is telling her this is bad. Like, this is a bad dude. But I think she's so over God wouldn't do it to me. This is what I'm ready for. And I'm thinking, baby, you finna get hurt bad. Because this dude ain't worth the fuck. He ain't worth shit. Oh, my rant is over. But Chris is the worst kind of person. He is one of those people that you hear women say, this dude ain't shit, men ain't shit, they do this, they that. You be like, men don't do that shit. And then you see Chris, you be like, who they talking about? When these women complain about men, they complaining about you. You that dude. Chris and Paige, I feel so bad for Paige. It's like she's been set up. I don't know how Chris made it on the show. But the thing that he said, which made me understand, was, and Paige said it too. She said, on paper, we match perfectly. Outside of that, we don't match at all. He said it and she said it. He was like, everything on paper, we great. We good. She said, on paper, he checks every box, he's everything. But when they talk to each other, no. Fuck how you line up. Y'all personalities, y'all attitudes, his specifically, is abusive, and hers is she will take abuse because she believes that this is what God is testing her. This is going to end up bad. And it's gonna end up bad for Paige. Let me know what you think. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell, and just tell me what you're feeling, man. Because I'm feeling like that's a disaster in the making. And I don't mean they not gonna last. I mean like it's gonna be a disastrous. I'll catch y'all next time, man. Peace.